Wake up. Stop slurping your coffee.
That's how you're supposed to drink coffee.
Okay, let's just get started.
Looking at that and it's going by so fast. I was like, what the hell?
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome back.
Is this really episode 21?
It is.
Wow.
We made it, babe. The big 2-0.
We're gonna have to do like a giveaway or something fun for like our 50th
2-1?
episode.
The big 2-1?
50th episode, like a gift card giveaway or something.
We could do that.
Something fun. Be nice. That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to plan something.
I'm wearing a hat because my hair is bad.
Oh yeah, I always forget we're recording now.
People watching.
We're recording now. Let me just get this started by putting on my essential oils.
Well, guys, welcome back. It's January 6th, I think. 7th, 2021.
Yep.
Crazy day yesterday, but...
Yeah, I just told Jerome to turn the news off. Jerome constantly has the news on. And, well, I guess it's a crazy day if you live in America, because not everybody does.
That's true. According to my analytics, we got listeners from everywhere. So.
Yeah. So, a crazy day if you live in America. If you don't, you probably still know shit is crazy. But yeah, yesterday kind of just went downhill, I feel like.
It was cool, but it was kind of shitty to see on TV and stuff.
I just feel like I was having such a good day, and then I seen the news, and then I started talking to you about it, and I was like, fuck this day. Like, the day's over.
It's probably how everybody felt.
They did, because I talked to a few people today, and they were like, okay, let's not talk about yesterday.
Dude.
I'm like, exactly. So today, I feel like I'm having an incredible day, and then I go downstairs, and Jerome has the news on.
Oh, just, updates. Gotta get the part 2.
I literally tell him, I'm like, you need to know what's happening and be educated, but you don't need to stare at it all day. So I'm like, turn the news off.
Oh,
I hate it.
Anyways.
But you can't not address that. It's a huge thing going on right now.
But I was going to say, that leads me to my next thing.
What?
If you haven't already, guys, sign up for the audibletrial.com/Cafecito JJ Sarina and get yourself a free book for 2021, year and you.
A book to calm your mind or something?
A book to calm your mind, a book to become a new person, change your life.
A book to forget the news.
The vibes. I was going to say it.
I love it. We're talking about today. I'm leading today's episode.
Go ahead. I just had that. That's all I had written down. I don't have anything else. She was like, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? She's like, I got something. So
I like when we talk about things that I guess feel relevant or like something that's recently happened. I love to talk from like as we go through things and parenting or relationships or the world or life or holidays or whatever. I like to talk about what's like relevant for us or the world.
Business, financial gains, losses, wins,
so
losses.
It's like, I don't know, there was one thing that came up and I was like, I think this is important to talk about. We've been talking a lot through the holidays. We've talked a lot about the holidays and New Year's and Christmas and Thanksgiving and family and all that.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of family.
Yeah, and so I'm like, let's kind of switch it up a little bit, come back to parenting and talk about this. And I think this has to do with whether you are a parent or not, whether you are pregnant and don't even have, like, you're not quite raising a child yet, even though you kind of are inside your own tummy, or whether you already are a parent. I think everyone should know because this affects everyone. So what I thought would be nice to talk about today is, in my words, I said like the danger of labeling your children or children in general. They don't even have to be yours. I mean, imagine if you're a teacher or someone who's around children, or you have nieces or nephews or what have you. Like this is something I think that's really important to know. My hair is like dripping wet because I just took a shower. I can just like feel it dripping on my leg.
Oh man, should have had it wrapped up in a towel. Like
and just show up for real.
I didn't know girls did that in real life.
Wrap your hair in a towel?
Yeah, but they do.
Yeah, your hair's all wet.
Fact.
But anyways, yeah, so I was telling Jerome when I told him, like, I think we should talk about this, I was telling him, like, we've been dealing with that a lot with Alex right now. He's just been, like, having these moments where
for people who don't know, Alex is our 8-year-old son.
Yes, he's our 8-year-old son. And And Alex has just been going through this phase, I feel like, where he'll just lie for no reason.
Dude.
Like, no reason. And it's so upsetting. And we've definitely had our moments.
So funny, dude.
I mean, we've had our moments where we handle it well, and then other moments where we handle it not well. And then I've talked to Jerome, and of course, like with my like mindset background, where I'm like, oh, we can't do it. You're not supposed to talk like this, or don't do this, or whatever. But yeah, he'll lie about, what does he lie about? Like,
dude, okay, so like prime example, just like 2 days ago, we're playing a board game. Like it's a burrito, throw burrito or something like that. Like something like that. Hold on.
It's called Throw Burrito, and I highly recommend. It's a great game.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's called Throw Burrito. Anyways, we're playing that game. So then in the game you say burrito duel, and it's like whoever says that, the two people have to throw burritos at each other, and whoever gets hit loses. So Sarina says it, and then me and Alex grab burritos. Alex clearly misses me, and it's just like I hit him like almost on the face, and then dude, Alex will sit there and say, "Oh, you missed me." Bro, and he's 8, dude, and he's like a legitimate person that has conversations. He's smart. He could do multiplication. He could do division.
He's not a baby anymore.
Yeah, so he knows. It's like we both, me and his mom, both seen it hit him in the face.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. And then he goes, "That didn't hit me," and we're like, "What?" And he's like, "No, you missed me. Let's do it again." And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I just hit you in the face with this burrito. Like,
it's so funny.
Dude, he's like, "No, it missed me completely. Mom, you saw that, right?" And then she's like,
"I wasn't looking."
Yeah.
Or something.
He said
no,
that,
but there will be times where I'm like,
I wasn't looking. But that time you were like, "No, I saw it. It hit you." And then he was like, "Well, you guys are liars." And
he calls us liars.
Dude, like, what are you talking about? Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Well, you guys are going to be liars." And then we're like, What are you talking about, Alex? Stop lying. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
And yeah, he won't.
And then he just holds on to that forever. Like, he'll be like, "Nope, I'm not." And he'll get so mad, he'll start crying during the game.
And he'll just walk away.
Yeah, and he gets so mad and the game's over. He does the same thing when we play Monopoly. He'll like try to steal money some way, or he'll give himself an extra $100. Like a savage to win a game, apparently. But he'll lie to do it. That's just an example.
Yeah, you're going overboard.
It's crazy in the games, dude.
But I will say it's interesting because then there's times where later he will bring it up and he'll be like, he'll say something and he's telling the truth, and then it's like obvious he's telling the truth and we didn't even say anything, and he'll be like, "Look guys, I'm telling the truth because you always say I'm lying."
Yeah.
And so you have to think about like what's going on in his head. He feels now that we think he's a liar. We've like labeled
another
him
example
as like a liar.
that I remember that was just as of late was Sarina bought him like these little string cheese packets.
Oh.
And then there was I seen one in the trash like right before I threw the trash because we had it like out and I was gonna throw it away. And then I heard you ask him like, "Did you eat one?" And I don't like those. They're disgusting to me.
But we're also not strict in our household when it comes to like having a snack.
Yeah, so it was weird that he said that. And then Sarina was like, "Did you eat one?" And then he was
I was just curious.
Yeah, and then he was like, "No." And then I was like, I heard him say that and I was like,
because I was eating the string cheese and then Alex came and said, "Can I have one?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And then I was like, "Did you have one earlier?" And in his mind, he must have thought, "Oh, if I had one earlier, Mom won't let me have one right now." So he said, "No, I didn't." And then Jerome goes, "Well, really? Because I seen a wrapper in the trash earlier." And then he goes, 100%. "Oh, like just kidding," or something like, "Yeah, I did have one." I was trying to be funny. Like, yeah, I did have one. Yeah, and he wasn't trying to be funny. So it's just these moments where he's like kind of lying. And Alex, I feel like sometimes can be so grown in a way of like, he has said like, "Well, sometimes I just lie because I think I'm going to get in trouble." Like he'll explain it to us. And I always think that's super interesting. But the point is, then there's those moments where we totally don't handle it well, where we'll be like, "Alex, like, why are you lying?" Like, "Okay, well, you're a liar, then we don't know when we can trust you," and da-da-da. And you label your kids, like, this is just our example, but we'll like label him like, "Oh, you're a liar." Well, you're a liar, so like, how are we supposed to trust you?
Yeah.
And so I've been telling Jerome, like, it's really important that you don't do that because you are not your behaviors. Your behaviors can change, but you are who you are, right? So it's something that's going on that makes you lie, for example. Like, what is it? Why is he lying? Why does he feel the need to lie? That's what you have to figure out. And I was telling Jerome, I was like, you know, it's really important, like, what in those moments, we don't call him a liar. We just say, like, "You are lying," or "Why are you lying?" But you're not a liar. Because when you label your kids, especially if it keeps on happening, you label your kids, or even they hear you telling other people about them, whatever those labels are, how you explain your kids.
Yeah.
Those labels, your kids look to you for their identity. So they're like, oh, my mom and dad say I'm a liar. Well, I must be a liar. I'm a liar. I'm just gonna keep lying. Like, I have to lie. So it just keeps repeating. It's just like if you tell your kids, oh my gosh, you're like the smartest, most beautiful human being on the planet, and you worship them. Yeah, and you worship them, they grow up and think I'm the smartest, most beautiful human being on the planet.
Yeah.
They have like skyrocketing self-confidence, which can be a good or a bad thing. So it's just interesting, and I thought about that, and I was thinking, like, you know, I don't know, I don't really remember hearing my mom like explain me to other people. I think she would, like, as I got older and I would say got kind of like bad, she'd be like, oh, like, Sarina's a smart ass, or Sarina, like, I was doing so, we'll see, and then I label myself, oh, I was such a smart ass.
Yeah.
Or she would be like, oh, she's always doing this or doing that, and then I would think, like, oh yeah, like, that is that's then how I would describe myself, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like, for you, like, I wonder.
I was trying to think right now as you were saying that. I was like, I can't think of any labels my family put on me.
Perfect and quiet.
No.
Your mom's always like, he never cried.
As a baby, she's talking about like as a baby.
Yeah.
But growing up, I can't think of a moment like where I would get in trouble, or if I did something, like what my parents would call me. I can't remember. No,
yeah.
Like nothing good, like, or relevant for this conversation. I'm trying to think if my dad ever said anything to me.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's interesting because, like, there's all of those things, like, you know, I know, like, in working with clients, they have these, like, deeply rooted thoughts about themselves, or like how they identify themselves, and I'm like, but are you really that way? Like, are you really a liar? Are you really too social? Are you really this or that? And it's like, oh no, but like, since I was a child, everyone said so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I guess, like, I feel like this is like one of the worst examples you can use, meaning that, like, I hate it, but I hear a lot where, like, clients who lack self-confidence, and they're like, well, since I was young, like, everyone I was never like the good-looking child or cousin or sibling. I've always been ugly. Like, everyone has always said, like, oh, she's not super good-looking, but she's really smart. Oh, my daughter's so smart.
It's like a backhanded compliment.
It's such a backhanded compliment.
Why would you say
like, you're the smart one, but you're not the super pretty one. My daughter's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you grow up, and what do? You overcompensate in school, and you try to be the smartest one because you now know, quote unquote, that you're not actually good looking.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I guess it digs deep.
That could fuck your whole life up.
When you're a kid, or what your parents really say.
I mean, those first 7 years are like the most crucial. It's crazy because Alex is 8. Oh my God, what do we do in the first 7 years?
Oh, not good.
Okay. But I just think it's interesting, and that's why I say, like, okay, if you're a teacher, how do you speak to your students?
Yeah.
If you're like an aunt or uncle, like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you speak to your nieces and nephews?
Yeah.
Like, what do you say? I mean, as a parent, you know, like, you kind of have to, like, watch what family members say or do with your kids, only because you may or may not align with the way that they speak in front of them or act, or the lessons. Like, sometimes siblings will try to teach your kids a lesson, and in your mind, you're like, no, I disagree. Don't teach my kid. What are you doing?
Siblings, or you mean
like maybe
relatives?
Our relatives.
Yeah. Older relatives.
Yeah, like your relatives will try to teach your kids something.
Or if you have, like, older cousins, or if you have a really older brother.
Yeah.
In some situations, or older sisters.
Yeah, exactly. Or they might say something, use like words that you don't want your kids to be labeling other people as, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Super interesting, but I don't know. I think it's super important to just be aware of, and it makes me think, like, for other parents.
That's the thing. The only thing I thought when you said that was when my older brother asked my son Alex if he has it. I don't know if I want to say that.
I don't think so. I was thinking it, but I was like, let's not. He just makes really, like, derogatory comments. And he's gonna probably be watching this podcast episode.
No, but
he makes like derogatory comments, and in our minds, we're like, "Whoa, our son's getting older. You can't talk like that. It's not. It's like not okay."
And it's like, even I find there's like a fine line. It could be a joke, like I'm not gonna say anything.
There's no. You can't even. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an example.
Families Mom's family, but
I think it's like it's a way, like they're almost like stereotypical jokes, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, they are. They're stereotypical jokes, and to each their own. It's not us throwing them out there. Yeah. But there's certain jokes, like, you know, okay, if you were Hispanic, you make a Hispanic joke, haha, very funny. But then there's jokes where it's like, it's just, you almost know now, like, especially now, it's like, there's a lot of things that are just not okay to say.
Yeah.
And, like, those jokes shouldn't be had. And you either speak up or you don't speak up. But, I don't know, I think it's hard, like, with kids. Like, I guess he's a good example, is he'll say what he thinks is a funny joke, which maybe amongst adults may be funny.
Yeah.
But amongst children, it's actually not funny at all. And it's
they actually don't understand the context of it, I guess.
They don't understand the context, and now you're just planting a seed in their mind.
Not only that, too, but I was gonna say, God, I lost my train of thought. Not that they don't understand the context, or planting the seed, but maybe they don't see like the gravity of how serious saying something like that could be versus an adult could distinguish that joke and how serious it is. So they
like an adult knows what is and is not okay to repeat, for example, or what is and is not true. Like, okay, that's not actually a fact. You're making a joke or perhaps putting your opinion. Versus a kid will go back to school and be like blah 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 blah, and it's like, oh my gosh, what the hell? So I think that is super interesting, just having to like pay attention to, which actually brings up like a whole nother topic of like, when it comes to your kids, at what point do you speak up? You know?
Yeah, to me, it's not that serious. I feel like Alex understands that, but I feel like he already gets it.
He doesn't, though. Like, why is it okay for someone else to say those things in front of him, especially some people close to us, when we would never talk like that in front of him?
No, I'm saying it's hard because I want to say what they say. I feel like I lost track of what we're even saying.
You're talking about your siblings' derogatory jokes.
Oh, okay. I want to say it, but then I feel bad saying it.
No, can you stop doing that? People are probably dying inside now. Just let it go. We're not saying it. It's fuck no.
Okay, well,
it's a hard no.
But I don't want people to think we're like racist or anything.
No, my God. It's just like cuss words and stuff. It just doesn't need to be said. They're just stupid jokes.
Okay, there you go. That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah, it's literally just words. Dumb.
Yeah.
They're just derogatory. Like,
sorry, you were saying. Go on.
So what I was saying is, which then leads me to say, at what point, because this is a big struggle for parents, or if you're preparing to be a parent, and thinking about this with your family members, at what point do you speak up and tell the people close to you, like, hey, don't do that with my child, or that's not something we're teaching him at home, or don't speak like that in front of him? At what point do you say something? Because I think a lot of times there's like this kindness in being passive, and we've had this come up with another relative, where like he has a hard time like speaking up because he's really like close to his family, and so it's like, okay, if you're really close to your family, it doesn't make it okay. Like, you still have to like stand firm in how you want to like raise your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard. I mean, if you have kids, I mean, even if you didn't have kids, it's still hard. Like,
or you're the person that needs to be mindful.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. It's so hard because I feel like we're censoring ourselves so much in what we're talking about. I'm trying to.
It's not. It doesn't matter though. You don't need to know the jokes.
No, not the jokes. I'm thinking about like the topics of like what you were saying, like.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like now, like for example, we know somebody else who struggles to speak up to their family members. Like, it's a couple and they have a hard time speaking up to their family members about the way they do or do not want their kid to be raised. So it's like when you're super close to, let's say like we go over to a family member's house and all of a sudden they're teaching Alex something or telling him to do something that they might think is perfectly acceptable, but we're like, no, that's not okay. So like, for example, when I thought like we were having a girl, I started thinking a lot about like boundaries and like reading a lot about conscious parenting, especially. This applies to men and women, for girls and boys, but like a lot with having a daughter, I kept thinking like, wow, you really need to teach them that respect for their body and that your body is your body, and it starts from when you're a kid. So for example, you should not be forcing your nieces or nephews or grandchildren or whomever to hug you. If they don't want to hug you, it's their body. Don't pressure them. And we don't think about it that severely, but it's planting seeds, so when they grow up, they think, oh, well, I gotta just do this because like I'm being told to do it.
Yeah.
And they get pressured in situations because what do? As the moment they're children, we're like, go hug your grandma. Go hug your oh my gosh, what are you doing? Go hug your grandma. Hug your grandma. And you like force them to hug someone they don't want to hug. Why do we do that?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty deep. Damn, like that could get crazy, but I mean, for me, I guess I never thought of it that way. I just think like you're giving your grandpa a hug or your grandma a hug. It's like, I think the parents and other family members don't do it out of that intention, if that makes sense. Of course not. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they don't. But that's the part of it of like, I guess that's where the word conscious comes into play, right? Like we should be thinking about these things.
Yeah.
Like when you have kids, it's like thinking about their future. Well, what shapes them into the person they become? It's not just your discipline.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many other things. And I think when you have that understanding, it's like, oh, and then I guess like even from there, so let's say, for example, like a lot of things happen in our parenting. Mm-hmm. And then through what I learned from conscious parenting, I actually have that book. What's the book?
You gave it to me. I never looked at it.
No, we're going to before I give birth. We're going to start focusing on that probably in February because I have to finish my current book.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm having Jerome and I both read or listen to on Audible. Here's a good book idea for you. It's called The Awakened Family. The Awakened Family. And it's basically the revolution of like conscious parenting. Yeah, really big.
That's deep.
It's awesome. I mean, it's the very first chapter just totally takes like your normal, because there's no guidebook to parenting, right? Like shit happens and we respond, but it's just crazy. Like for example, when Alex lies, there's moments where like you get so upset and like you're upset. It's just, I mean, it's not like super dramatic or anything, but you get really upset and then you're just like, Alex, like, why are you lying? Like, and he has to go, you get frustrated. So what is that doing? If you really want to get into it, it's like, well, you're being triggered. You're just like, what the fuck? And then, he gets sent to his room or this and that, or gets this thing taken away. And it's like, wow, like one thing I talk about a lot is like learning how to respond and not just react. And a lot of times in parenting, our kids piss us off, fucking lie, and then we react. Boom. What's your, like, why are you doing that? We get mad.
Dude, yeah.
Or
like when he forgot his mask for school.
Dude, like we were driving to school the other day. You always tell him, get your mask.
It's so annoying.
And we're driving to school and he had his mask, and then when we pull up to drop him off, he doesn't have his mask.
Yeah.
And Jerome was like so mad about it.
Like when things like that, I feel like it's almost like a double-sided coin. Like it's so weird to me. Like sometimes like there's a guy I follow on Instagram. I'm gonna look up his name really fast.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Because like when we were driving to school and then he didn't have his mask and Jerome got like upset with him and he's like, Alex, what the heck? I told you, like, have your mask and da-da-da. And I'm like, but seriously, we have like 4 in the car. They're ours.
I don't know how to say his last name. Billy Vesco. He has a cool TikTok and he always goes, parents, do better. He's like a cool dude and he has like a lot of like cool parenting advice, kind of like you talk about. And he has one where he talks about how his daughter forgets her soccer cleats. And then he tells her like, everyone forgets stuff. Like maybe we could just buy you a new pair or something like that.
So they must have been somewhere.
Like it was just an example, yeah. So it was like you drive 2 hours to like a tournament or something. You forgot your cleats.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, and then he just says like kids make mistakes too. Like you could be better. Like parents be better. And then to me, it's just like it's almost like I don't know. Like I like his advice, and then sometimes I'm like, but damn, like for Alex, I don't know. Like maybe this is where I need work still too.
Yeah,
like
double standard. You just took his example and said I love it, but for my son.
No, not for my son, but for Alex, like it's like, dude, like I see you when there's something that you care. Like I want him to care about how he cares about the Switch when we go visit my family. That's the first thing he grabs is the Nintendo Switch. He's like, is it in the car? Did you get my charger?
But that's like us with our cell phones. Like, you're adults, like our phones, right?
I guess that's what makes me mad though. Like that's where I get angry. Is like, I'm like, dude, the way you remember that, it's like grab your backpack and grab your mask because that's how important your mask is.
Yeah, but you can use the same example on yourself. It's like, okay, let's say I cannot think of
I'm
anything.
not trying to be evil dad here.
No,
I totally
get what you're saying.
But it's just like that's why I get mad.
Like
in my head I'm like,
take
dude,
care of your stuff and like, you know, it's important.
Not take care of your stuff, but like care as much as you care about your video games, bro.
But at the same time, like, have you ever forgot? Like, maybe you can't think of it right now, which I can't either. But I'm just saying, like, have you ever forgot something and been like, fuck, like I totally forgot that at home. I've like driven to the store and been like, forgot my debit card. Like, dude, but I got my cell phone. Never forget that at home. It's my number one priority.
I drove to work one time and I have my work shoes.
You know, so stuff like that, and it's like, okay, well, who yelled at you?
Nobody, but
but did you need to be yelled at? Like you fucked up. Okay,
if
whoops.
I had an older Jerome with me, should have yelled at me for forgetting my shoes.
It's just like the simple things like that, you know, and that's even like yesterday. So what happened with the mask, and we pull up to the school, and then I'm like, well, here, take one of ours that has adjustable like things, and you can wear it. And he's like, okay, cool. But then we drive away, and I'm like, Jerome, you don't have to get so upset. Jerome's like, well, it's super annoying, and da da da. And I just told him, and he doesn't prioritize it. And I'm like, so you're really gonna like ruin the beginning of his day by getting kind of like yelled at by his dad? I feel bad. I'm like, well, there goes his day. Like we know how important it is, like the beginning of your day, and I'm just like, dude, not that serious. But I do get what you're saying. Like sometimes those small moments are serious. Like it is.
No, but I'm just saying, like that's where like I got mad at that moment because I know how he remembers things, and it's just like I'm like, oh, there's like a balance in my own head where I'm like, don't yell at him, yell at him, don't yell at him, yell at him.
It's cool though.
But I'm like, don't get mad, be cool. Don't get mad, be cool.
Well, and that's the cool thing about, I think, like being conscious about the way you're parenting, the way you're responding to your kids, or if you're reacting or what's happening. It just causes you to grow.
Yeah, I'm still
because you've gotten mad at me when we've driven to like your family's house and it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive, and dude, one time we were driving for Christmas a couple years back, and we lived in Santa Cruz and they lived in the Bay Area.
Oh, you forgot my gift?
Dude, I forgot Jerome's gift at home. It was hiding, and he had to turn around, and he was so mad at me. And it's like, whoops, dude, like your gift is important, but like my bad, like I forgot.
You should have remembered.
Dude, it was the worst. But like in moments like that, I feel like as even like with Alex, as we practice, it'll affect our relationship, even like the way we can respond or react. Like how you do one thing's how you do everything, they say. So like even if you're practicing with your parenting, well, that's going to happen in your conversations with your mom or your dad or your siblings or your relationship or whoever.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing from parenting is, for me at least, is the overreacting of things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's just like from 0 to 100 like really fast. Like on Alex,
I think it's especially also because you see I think sometimes like I undermine the small moments, like with forgetting the mask. Like I'm like, okay, not that big of a deal. Like remind him, and like he'll remember it next time, or like whatever. Just fix the problem and give him a mask, and let's move on and have a great day. But I guess I do see how for you, you're like, yeah, but this is a moment of him building like his character of like
didn't you just
what's
say
important
how you
for
do
you.
One thing, you do everything?
Exactly. Yeah. So I see where you're coming from, and I think it can be challenging to say, and I think that's where we come in our different parenting sometimes, is it's like, okay, well, how do we find that balance?
Yeah.
Because there's moments where like you've proven me wrong, not that that's what we're doing, but like you'll be like, see what I'm saying, and like I'm like, oh, that's why you made such a big deal out of such and such.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. And so I think it's just like, I guess a good question is like, so how do you know like when, I guess you just have to feel into that.
Yeah, I guess I just want Alex to have like that self-discipline.
Yeah.
For himself.
Yeah.
You know?
Makes sense.
Self-discipline is self-love.
Exactly.
So if Alex has that self-discipline in his life, he'll have that self-love forever.
Yeah, no, totally. It's interesting, like, man, when you start thinking about parenting, like on the deep level of like how you interact and say things, that like it makes it feel like a lot.
Yeah, well, when I think about Alex, I always say the only thing I want out of him is just to be a good person.
Yeah, I feel like I guess people have different things.
Yeah, like I don't have those different things. I don't care if you get straight A's. Like that's cool, dude. But are you a good person? Like, are you doing the right thing? thing. Like at school the other day, he told us that he
was so happy.
He was so happy. He said that he found graffiti in his school.
He found it
someone
on the playground.
tagged their playground, and he told the teachers and his friends, and he got a reward for it.
And it was like a rubber bouncy ball with a smiley face
for
on
speaking up, basically.
But he was so happy, and even that was a moment where I was like, man, he came home from school, and it's like the middle of our busy day.
Yeah, it's almost like we didn't praise him enough.
Yeah, even though we said like, wow, good job, whatever, but he kept saying it and repeating himself.
It was a big deal to him.
And so a little bit later, I told Jerome, I don't think that we acknowledged him enough because he did something honest, and he was really excited to tell us about it and like show us that. And I don't think that we gave him enough acknowledgement.
What I'm saying works. I'm just kidding.
What?
I'm saying what I'm doing works.
Oh.
No, I'm too mean sometimes. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, and then it was bedtime, so we went to put him to bed, and Jerome was like, well, let's tell him again. So we went in his room, and when I went in, and I was like, Alex, I just want to say again, like, super proud of you for, like, what you did today, and, like, you must have been so scared because they called him to the office.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, thanks, Mom. Like, he really lit
happy,
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really appreciated that acknowledgement.
So to me, like, that's what's important, like, doing the right thing. And I guess that's where my, strictness comes from, is just wanting him to be doing the right thing all the time.
Yeah.
And I guess that means telling the truth to me. So when he does lie, it does trigger me. I'm like, what? Why are you doing that? Like, don't do that. Because then I know when he gets older, he'll just keep lying, I guess, to us, right? Like, when he's at school and something bad happens, or when he's trying to do something, it's just like, we always tell him, like, just tell us the truth. It's way better. And we're working on it. Yeah. Everyday thing.
That's what I was going to say. I had like two thoughts that came to mind, because I'm like, okay, maybe you have a baby or something. Like, just thinking, man, it doesn't have to be so complicated. I feel like it feels like you're constantly thinking, oh, am I doing this right? And it's not like that, really.
What do you mean?
Like, so for example, I was going to say, like, okay, when just going back to, I think my mind kind of went a little like somewhere else, but like going back to
both at the beginning, I'm like
going back to the beginning, just with the whole point being like what you do now, labeling your children or having them do certain things, it affects them as they grow older. Because my mind kind of, as you were talking, I thought about a client who is struggling with her like relationship with food. And it's like, honestly, like even your relationship with your body and food goes all the way back to when you first start eating. And like,
that's self-discipline.
do your parents make you finish your plate? Because when you're already, because it's like when you're already full, why do you make your kids finish their plate? Because you don't want to waste food. Is the food really going to get wasted? You eat it. Save it for later. Well, but it also teaches them to eat intuitively. We're, as babies, we're born and we know how to, we cry when we're hungry and we stop when we're full. And then our parents come in hot and they're like, nope, finish your plate. And you're like stuffed and you're like shoving it in your mouth. I remember one time sitting at the kitchen counter, my uncle.
Oh my God, Sarina's told the story.
He made me eat so much and I was like crying and being, and I was so full, but he made me do it. And it's just like, dude, later that became a feeling I love, being super full. Dude, and it's just like, yeah, it goes all the way back. I'm telling you, like these
I remember
things.
when he told me that, I found that kind of interesting. I was like, well, that's kind of right. Like, I don't know why we talk to finish his food.
Yeah, so now we might say like, okay, he ate everything on his plate but his vegetables. Like, dude, eat your vegetables. Yeah. But I don't tell him to finish his plate. Yeah. I don't make him do that. If he's done eating, he's done eating. I want him to have a healthy relationship with his body. I'll just eat it. Yeah, there you go.
I always tell him, I'm like, I'll just give me your food, dude.
But, yeah, I think that, I guess I'll kind of like end this on just saying at the same time, realize that like even those parents that you think are like the most perfect parents are not the most fucking perfect. Like there is no perfect parent. Like you might be more conscious, or you might be learning, or you might have more experience, or I don't know, who knows. But it just is like another area that I think having children like allows you, if you let it, to like evolve and allows you to be a better person, honestly.
Yeah. Right? It does. Yeah. It's crazy when like you see Alex from when he was like super little, like 1 to how he is now, and it's just like he's everything we made.
Yeah, it's crazy. crazy.
in like a way of like the way we act and what we do.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much a reflection of us.
He seriously is. It's weird lately.
Yeah, so if he's doing something, it's because we showed him how to do it.
Yep.
You know?
When he says certain words and we're like, huh? It's just words that we use.
What does he always tell us? He always goes, well, I came from you, so... He always says that to you.
He's so annoying.
He's like, well...
He hears us, like, Jerome and I we'll say little things where it's like look, it's 1:11. How weird as I brought that conversation up.
Oh my God.
Whenever it's like 11:11 or 1:11, we'll be like, look at the clock. Because people will say...
numbers.
And now Alex does that. He'll be like, guys, look at the clock. It's 11:11 or it's 1. Okay, that was weird. I was about to bring that up and it turned 1:11. I don't know, guys. I'm here for it. But yeah, I think that's it.
The Holy Ghost gets you.
I think that's kind of the end of the episode. I know.
Wait, Alex, what is Alex the other day, we're making food or something, and then he looks at me, he goes, Jerome, look. And I was like, what? And he's like, it's 11:11. I was like, oh my God.
The other day he told me, it's like the universe is giving me signs.
Yeah, he always says that.
Because in our house,
what does he say? He says too, he'll go like, why did the universe do this to me today? I'm like, what the fuck?
It's so weird.
It's so funny.
But that's because in our house, we don't say like God or anyone specific. We'll just say like the universe.
That was like another conversation that I was going to say when you were first talking about like people teaching your kids things.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, what if you come from like two different couples?
Yeah.
Like I'm Christian and say you're like Hindu or something. Or
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Is Hindu a religion? I'll have to look that up. Hinduism, right? Hinduism. Sorry, guys, I'm Googling this.
Or what about if you're atheist and your wife is Christian?
Okay, I'm Googling. Go ahead, speak.
Yeah.
It's the oldest religion. Yeah, so if someone's Hindu and the other person's Christian, those are two different beliefs. So as like a couple, and then when you introduce your kids to each other's families. Yeah. Like one.
Oh, how confusing.
Dude, right? But then like one family could be teaching them one thing and the other family could be teaching them another thing. Yeah. Like
that's a hard thing to overcome.
That's almost like the same conversation we were just having earlier, but with like, we were just speaking. But with religion, I guess that's a better example. I guess more people might be able to relate to that.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's a conversation. I'm sure once you get into that relationship and have kids, it's a battle. But I think that's
like how we don't have that issue because we don't care. Or I guess we don't.
Whoa. Save that for another podcast. No, I just think that you need to have that conversation before you have kids, first of all, hopefully. And if you don't, then
we should have talked
you're going to have battles when you come together and try. But you guys have to decide. Yeah. How does that work? Do you want to teach them both sides? Do you want to let your child decide? Some people will educate their kid on everything and then let them decide.
I mean, that's tough. I'm not super religious, so I don't have any dog in this fight. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like for example, I guess my sister-in-law, one of them, she's like very into Christianity. She's Christian. Yeah. And so she will say things to Alex about God here and there. And say like, oh, yeah, like Jesus this, or like your brother-in-law, he'll say like, oh, what's Christmas about? Well, what is it about? And he'll like quiz Alex. Little things. And we don't talk about those things in our house. Yeah. But I also don't think either of us are like against it either. I think we have different, we should talk about that on a podcast.
We'll talk about it on the next one.
It's interesting. We'll save that because we got to go pick up Alex.
No, I just thought about that when you're saying that other example.
Yeah. Well, I see what you're saying. It made me think about your brother and his fiance because he doesn't believe in anything, God or a higher source, and she's Christian. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so how do you raise your kid?
That's a fun dinner conversation with them. I'm just kidding.
It's always fun in the card games and stuff. So do you believe in? And they're just like, yes, no. Anyways, all right, you guys, we'll leave you with that, all the good parenting stuff. But I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll definitely come back, and Jerome won't think too hard.
Dude, they had me in the first half. You ever seen that meme?
See what I'm saying? And then just let it I genuinely
you don't know that meme. You ruined my meme.
No.
They had us in the first half.
Nope. But I like for our podcast podcast to just be me and you genuinely talking, and I think sometimes it gets in your head and you like are trying to.
I was trying to think in the first half of this podcast, I like Sarina was saying some shit and I was like, oh
Whoa.
my god. I was like, what is she talking about? And in my head I was trying to respond and I couldn't.
I love it.
And then she was like, right? And I was like, what?
Huh?
Anyways, we'll come back
it was
next
good.
week.
Yeah, we'll catch you guys for the next episode.
Thank you for listening. I hope you made it to the second half. It was way better than the first half.
All right.
guys.
See you later. Bye.